This is Nadine bringing you Ventura Vibe, a podcast featuring the local treasures of people and places that make our community here in Ventura so special. I've got interviews, games, community resources, and volunteer opportunities to get us connected. So let's get started. Today's show is all about bikes, bike safety, bike education, and empowerment through bikes in Ventura. Joining me today is Toby Smith, Ventura Bike Hub's Program Director. Welcome to the show, Toby.
Hey, Nadine. Thank you so much for having me today.
It is my pleasure. I'm excited to talk about the Bike Hub. So why don't you tell listeners, what is it and what do you do there?
Sure. First off, usually people walk into our shop and they go, oh, this is kind of a strange bike shop. And, you know, the real truth about the Bike Hub is that it's a bicycle education space where we strive to cultivate community through bicycle education, advocacy, and repair. It's a simple concept. We invite people to come into the space. It's an open shop where people come in, they sign in, they learn about our space, and they work on their bikes to get them rolling again.
Where is it located exactly?
The Bike Hub is located at 490 North Ventura Avenue at Center Street, right across from the new 7-Eleven.
Oh, very good. That's a very vibrant area now these days.
Totally. Yeah, lots of cool stuff happening now.
Yes. This is similar to the bike program at UCSB, right?
Yeah, totally. There's lots of cities and colleges that have a bicycle kitchen, which is basically a space where people of any means can come in and repair their own bicycle under the guidance of, in a kitchen, it's a cook.
Yes.
In our shop, all of our renters are called the spokes because the shop's called the Hub. And the idea is that it's a safe, comfortable atmosphere where we can promote safe, affordable, green transportation, and you really make it accessible to anybody.
Is this how empowerment happens?
Absolutely. That's a great question because one of my favorite experiences with people in the shop is they walk into the shop, they learn about it, and they go, whoa, I can't fix my own bike. Like, I can't even put gas in my car. And we're like, no, we got you. This is a space where there's no silly questions. There's no silly actions. We're all here to help you and support you and guide you through the process. When someone walks in, someone unlikely, like say last week we had this woman, she was in her mid-70s. She's like, I can't fix anything my whole life. She comes into the shop. She does a full tune-up in an hour and a half, which is incredibly fast. She trued her wheels. She greased everything. She replaced her chain. And she walked, at the end, she's like, my bike works now. It wasn't working satisfactory. She was clunking around. She'd even stopped riding because of that. She couldn't afford to get it refurbished. And so she was just kind of down and out about it. And she walked out. She's like, look, I did it. I can do this, and she...
That is awesome. I need to go there. What do you have to do to be able to use the facility?
What's really cool about our shop is anyone's welcome, no matter, it's a safe space. So whatever kind of person you are, whatever kind of money you have, you're welcome in our space. We just have a quick, simple sign-in sheet. We have, limited hours, not crazy hours, but we're open almost every afternoon except for Mondays and Wednesdays. And we even have a work trade program where if you don't have money, you can volunteer in the shop to earn credit for stand time and parts and things like that.
Oh, that's great. Do you provide parts or do you have to bring in your own parts? Like if I need my tire changed?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a mixed bag. We kind of work partly like a bicycle thrift store where we have used bikes and parts with a limited amount of new repair parts, but we really try to support local bike shops.
Okay.
So say you really want, nicer parts on your bike, I would say hit up whatever bike shop is close to your house and then come in and install it at our shop.
Oh, so you don't compete with the bike stores and the bike shops. That's good.
Yeah, totally. Our goal is facilitating this bicycle culture and getting more people riding. One of the things someone asked recently, we have a lot of used bikes in our shop, and they say, well, isn't this a problem with a lot of your local shops? And the truth is most people that come into our shop are new riders. And so they don't want to spend, $400, $500 to get riding. They just need something to give them that extra boost, which is another empowerment space for our shop. because our shop really tries to remove barriers to getting people to riding more, whether it be physical barriers like doing bicycle advocacy and working for more protected lanes and things like that, whether it be education, like you get a flat, don't know how to fix it, we could help teach you, or whether it be, lack of access, you can't afford a bicycle.
Right. Oh, that's great. Well, let's talk about this education aspect.
Totally.
And you have a relationship with the city of Ventura, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very lucky to have a supportive city staff and council where we've been working with them for advocacy, since the beginning of the organization just over 10 years ago. And we were lucky enough to work on them with some grants for education. So right now through Safe Routes to School, we have a 6th grade education.
Oh.
Then we also have funded an adult bicycle education that happens almost monthly, which is free. So it's called Ride Ready. And it's basically a class that teaches people how to ride safely, where to ride, and we even take people on a ride, as well as get them set up with some tire levers and patch kits.
Let's take the schools one.
Totally.
You go into schools
Mm-hmm.
and teach students how to ride. What schools? Like what local schools?
Totally. So local schools we have been in we've been to Balboa, Anacapa, and Cabrillo Middle School each a couple times. And this year we're also starting to work with DATA as well as Ventura Charter. And then we're currently setting up with some other schools in Oxnard.
Oh, great. And then where do you teach adults? Or where can adults go to take the classes?
Totally. Almost monthly, we have free education classes that we host at our shop. We have a nice classroom atmosphere. And then so people just can drop in by checking either our website or social media.
Oh, very good. And then you were talking about a community ride. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Totally. At the end of the week, during our school program, we take the kids, they really get a chance to practice all the skills that they've been learning during the week, and they get to explore the area around their school by bicycle.
Do they have to sign permission slips, and do you have chaperones that are also on bikes?
Yeah, totally. We get a lot of help from volunteers and parents sometimes to really make it safe and fun experience for the kids.
Oh, have fun. I would have signed up for that.
Totally. It's a blast.
Yeah. I want to talk about, you have a bike and helmet giveaway as part of the education program, right? Can you tell me about that?
Totally. So some of our education programs, we do bike rodeos out in the community with different community centers, as well as we host our own giveaway at the end of the year for the holidays. Those are mainly funded. Channel Bike Club generously donates many helmets every year, as well as the Ventura Sheriff's Department for some of the programs.
Ooh, all right.
And so this year, I think we've given away 30 or so kids' bikes to date, as well as 200 helmets.
Wow.
With an upcoming giveaway in December 22nd, I think we're going to give away another 20 or 30 kids' bikes.
Wow. So who gets these helmets, or how do you get them to kids?
Totally. Usually they're kids in need. Then we're already working through different community centers to kind of identify the kids as well as bring them to these bicycle rodeos. So we get a great chance to educate them about why to use a helmet, how to wear it, when to wear it, which is always. And so it's great to be able to reach out. And we really need to get every kid wearing a helmet. Which sometimes in the shop we have kids that come in that either don't want to or can't afford it. And we make sure we get a helmet on their head.
Yes. Do you find it's the middle schoolers that tend to not want to wear these helmets, or is it the older kids?
Yeah, the middle schoolers are probably the toughest, and we try to get these cool BMX style helmets so they don't look so dorky or mushroomy or something like that. It's like, this is a cool one. This is what skateboarders wear. This is what the BMX riders wear.
Yes, I parented a middle schooler who had some issues for a while with the helmet, but we gotta support that wearing of it, right? Okay, I do want to ask you a little bit about these bike rodeos. This is part of your education curriculum, right? What happens in them? Sounds exciting.
Yeah, bike rodeos are really fun events. They take, it's a cool undertaking. It takes a lot of community centers, volunteers, and different things to make it happen. But they're a fun event because the kids will go through different modules. They'll learn about helmets in one module, then they'll learn about hand signals in another module. Then they'll get their bikes checked out by volunteer hub mechanics at another module. Then we set up probably the funnest part is the course. So we set up these big courses, and they have everything. They run into stoplights, stop signs, different kinds of intersections. And we make these kids navigate this.
Oh.
And some of these kids are learning to ride for the first time. So
Yes.
sometimes it's a joy just to watch the kids get up and get rolling.
So it's like a little obstacle course, combat zone.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, and you bring all this equipment to the site,
We
the
do.
schools.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. Do the kids like it?
Oh, yeah. It's probably, some of the kids, their favorite part, because it's like a fun chance to either goof off or just to like test their skills.
Sure. All right, that sounds like fun. I want to move on to the events at the shop. Tell me about some of them.
Yeah, totally. Our shop isn't just a mechanic space. It's a space for a lot of other really fun community events. We do our best to host, a variety of events for people that wouldn't otherwise be served or have a space to be. We host all ages music shows. Usually like some kids will approach us and say, we want our band to play. And there's no all ages venues for these kids. So we let them use our shop on certain nights, usually First Fridays or things like that. And we'll try to get a bunch of bands together.
Oh, wow.
And they'll use the shop as a safe, sober space that they can come play music and have a good time. We host lots of different kinds of rides, whether it be Larry, one of our volunteers, hosts a brewery ride where he rides to different breweries every month.
Oh, wow.
Or different community rides that go with different events where we'll take people on rides around the neighborhood or around the community. We like to have a lot of get-togethers with our volunteers or our members where we try to do barbecue, potlucks, different kind of things just to build community and get people involved, as well as other organizations use our space for meetings.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
It does sound like you are building a community and very community oriented. That's great. All right. Tell me about your work trade program.
Sure. Our work trade program's I think it's a really cool program where people that no matter what their need level is, they can come in and volunteer time at the shop for $10 an hour shop credit. And the idea is that people who are originally started with homeless, low income, things like that, or, their idea was that they could get affordable, safe transportation to get to services, to, get to their jobs, things like that, where they couldn't otherwise afford. We've had people that their car broke down. They put all their money into their car. Now nothing's left, and they have a hard time getting to work because the bus gets them there late or it's a 2-hour trip. And the work trade program's great because they can spend an afternoon in the shop and get their bike going, or spend, a couple days or a long weekend day in the shop and earn themselves a new bike so that they can get to their job or get around.
That's great. Hopefully your commute isn't too far, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So part of this empowerment is kind of this idea of not relying on cars.
Right,
Yes.
totally.
So that's also environmentally friendly, right? You're actually helping the environment with this.
Yeah, the idea is to help people, no matter kind of what their reasons or needs are, to remove those boundaries and to make it better. There's a ton of people that come in either financial is their reason or environmental. They want to ride, but they're like, I'm scared to step out of my car because I jump on my bike and everyone's driving 50 miles per hour and there's no space for me and I don't feel comfortable. And that's where our work is really important towards trying to help create those spaces, help connect, safe and protected bike networks.
Very good. Yes. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that. We bike riders really appreciate that. There are a couple streets that I avoid because I feel like the traffic is a little too busy for me.
Yeah, totally. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot more, I used to be able to ride anywhere, no problem. I moved to San Francisco out of high school, and there I got really used to riding no matter what the conditions. I became what you'd call like a hardcore bike commuter. And now that I have a family, I'm a lot more sensitive to traffic conditions and the space on the road, where sometimes I have my son riding next to me.
Right.
And that's, it just made the work that much more important because now I realize I want to go from point A to point B with my son. But if I don't feel comfortable, imagine all the other people who don't ride very much or are ride curious. How are they going to get on their bikes and ride if I don't feel comfortable riding this route?
Exactly. Okay. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, I'm going to wrap things up. We're going to find out where Toby gets his Ventura vibe on, and we'll play a little game. Stay tuned. Thanks for listening to Ventura Vibe, a podcast celebrating the local treasures of Ventura, California. I'm your host, Nadine. I'm in the studio talking with Toby Smith from Ventura's Bike Hub. We've been talking about bikes bike safety and empowerment through bikes and building community through bikes. Now I'd like to ask Toby about, when we talked earlier, you said part of your community outreach is something about valet service.
Totally.
Tell me about that. How does that work?
Yeah, bike valet is definitely one of the fun programs we do. It's super fun, where different events that are held throughout the city or the county will reach out to us and they'll say, hey, we're hosting this event, but either bicycle parking or transportation could be an issue at our event, where they're having a huge, whether it's a brewery fest or one of the events downtown. Originally, we started this by partnering with the city of Ventura. And what bike valet is you come to an event, and instead of driving your car and trying to spend an hour trying to find a place to park and then walk all the way over there, you get to ride your bike right to the front door, and a stoked volunteer comes up, gives a bike, gives you a valet ticket. It's just like either a coat check or a car valet at a fancy restaurant. And your bike gets safely parked and stowed for you while you enjoy your time at the event.
Nice. That's great. And so are you involved in most of the community events or just a few?
Yeah,
for
totally.
Now?
We're trying to plug ourselves into, every single
Yes.
event. Yeah, between City of Ventura, Challenge Bike Club, we try to partner up, reach out to different event organizers, and we've also just released an infographic to tell people about what bike valet is. So that way we can try to get more events to use our services.
Wow. So how can people find if there's an event? Do you list them on your website?
Totally. At bikeventura.org, we have an events page that lists all the upcoming events, whether it be volunteer opportunities or just events that are coming in through our community.
You mentioned bike recycling. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Totally. One of the really cool aspects of our shop is that, like I said earlier, it works like a bicycle thrift store. So people will donate old bikes and parts and things like that they don't want or need anymore, or they just really like what we do and can't donate money. They can donate old bikes. We have volunteers, staff, work traders, kids who will go through and refurbish the bicycles, and then we'll sell them for affordable prices or put them into one of our different programs so that they can be used again rather than filling a landfill.
Wow, that's great. Will you take any kind of bikes or?
Yeah, we'll take anything. Yeah, bring it in. We'll pull off whatever parts we can and use what we can. Sometimes it'll be artwork. Sometimes it'll be scrap. But we're really lucky where one of our volunteers, Nina from the Sierra Club, works with Gold Coast Recycling and even pulls stuff that has already been trying to be landfilled or recycled, and it comes back and gets used again.
Now, I find it surprising that people would try to throw away a bike.
Yeah.
I guess that's pretty common.
Totally, yeah. Some of the bikes you'll see, they come in from the recycling and they just had like a flat tire or a bent wheel, and the person's like, oh, this isn't serviceable anymore, and they just toss it.
Oh, they need to take the classes over.
Totally.
Figure out how to fix those things, right? Okay. I did want to ask you, I got an email with a blog entry, and it was very well written, and it was about your bike adventure with your family. I thought that was such a neat experience, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about it. You went on a big bike ride and camping trip with your wife and son. Can you tell me a little bit about that, about the adventure of it?
Yeah, totally. In my younger days, I used to spend a lot of time bike touring, which is when you travel by bike by carrying all of your gear, like your camping gear and things like that. And it can be different ways. Like some people will do it by going from hotel to hotel, but I really enjoyed the journey of going either campground to campground or finding some other space to camp. And I used to go bike surfing in all kinds of ways. And since I had a family, my dream has been to take my whole family out on a bike tour. My wife had never done one. My son was kind of interested after seeing pictures.
How old is he?
He's 7.
Oh, wow. He's pretty young. But
he's pretty young.
Also adventurous, right?
Yeah,
They're
totally
up for anything at that age, right?
Yeah, he's up for anything. And he's been on my bike since he was 6 months old. And, I used to stay at home with him in the mornings, and I would take him on bike rides every day. So he was born on a bike.
Right. Oh, well, that's good. So I'm impressed with the fact that you rode pretty hard all day, and then you would go camping. And
right.
It's pretty minimal camping, right? Whatever
totally.
You put on your bike, that's your camp, right?
That's your gear. And you got to try to keep it light, because if you carry, too much stuff, you're slogging all this extra weight uphill. So it's like you can't have extra food. You got to keep your clothes to exactly what you need. And it's a little tough at first, but then once you get moving and get going, it's really fun.
Excellent. I'm very impressed with that adventure.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Yeah, we went from San Francisco to Monterey, and it took 4 days.
Wow.
And my favorite spot was when we were camping in Santa Cruz and we were having a little fire in the campground. My son hugged me and he says, "Dad, this is the best experience I've ever had."
That is awesome. Yes. Now I'm going to ask you my final question. I ask all my guests. Toby, where do you get your Ventura vibe on?
I'm a simple kind of person. Surfing's one of my favorite things to go along with bike riding. So generally, there's little trails behind Emma Wood Group Camp between there and Surfers Point. And I like to just hang out back there. There's tons of pretty stumps and little tree logs you can go on and hang out, as well as go surfing.
Wow.
So that's
that
my
sounds
little
great.
happy magic place.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out. I don't think I've been there yet. It's now time for a game. It's time for a game I'm calling Bike-O-Rama. Toby, are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
Okay, I got my bell ready. Question number 1. Top 3 essentials to have on your bike.
Tire levers, patch kit, and pump.
All right. Favorite bike ride in Ventura?
This is a tricky one, but my favorite thing to do is to ride with my family to Foster Park to jump on the Ventura to Ojai Trail and jump in the river.
Awesome. And your biggest pet peeve when riding your bike in Ventura?
I'm going to do this one threefold. So there's
Okay.
one when I'm riding is that when I see someone on their cell phones not paying attention and kind of crunches into me, it's one of those scary things because when you're driving, you really have to be responsible as well as when you're riding your bike. But sometimes there's things you can't control. And that's one of my big pet peeves, and that happens almost once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is when I see bicycle riders who make very scary, sketchy maneuvers because I'm, 1, worried for them, and 2, it makes kind of every bike rider look bad because then you might upset somebody else. And it's all about respecting each other on the road. And that's one of my biggest things is, building community through mutual respect. And number 3 is infrastructure. When I'm riding like a bike lane or a bike path with my family and all of a sudden it ends and I'm dumped onto a busy street, and that's why our work is so important because those things I experience weekly.
I'm giving that 3 bells. Woohoo! Awesome. Thanks for being a good sport and playing my game. I love those answers. All right, and now we are moving along. It's now time for the Community Chest segment. This is where I highlight volunteer opportunities and community resources. Toby, does the Bike Hub have opportunities to volunteer?
Oh yeah, always. Weekly, we have our volunteer day on Wednesdays from 3 to 8 p.m. We work on bikes or organizational projects around the shop, and that's open to anybody of any skill level or ability. We really try to cater to that and have a great time. We usually get food, snacks, and drinks, and just kind of make it an all-around good experience for everyone working at the shop.
Awesome. Now, do you take all ages? Like, can students
Totally.
come in for some community service hours?
Absolutely. Yeah, we take anyone, all ages. When they're younger, we always try to get a parent to come in first time. That way we can meet everyone and do things like that.
Yeah, sometimes maybe the parents will choose to stay in.
Every once in a while, yeah, we get some really cool like parent-kid combinations where they'll come in and build bikes together and do things. It's a really cool bonding experience.
That's awesome.
My son spent years in the shop when we were first starting it.
Yeah. Is he an expert at all things bicycles since he's grown up his whole life around bicycles?
Yeah, he can fix a flat really.
This is one skill that I have to learn because I just recently had a flat. I was going to ride here, and yesterday I had the flat. I'm like, oh, good thing I've got Toby coming. You have to sign me up for the class.
Absolutely.
Any other types of volunteer opportunities? Any for the events?
Totally. I recommend usually people check our calendar. We'll post up volunteer opportunities on our calendar with a sign up. We'll be posting, any education classes that come up, bike rodeos. Everything will be posted on there and with a ready sign-up sheet.
Oh, good. Why don't you tell me the website one more time?
Sure. Our website is bikeventura.org.
Well, That's our show for today. I enjoyed talking with Toby Smith from Ventura's Bike Hub. Toby, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time and information.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nadine.
Oh, my pleasure. I am so excited to bring Ventura listeners this information about something very near and dear to my heart. I enjoy riding my bike around this beautiful town. Apart from my recreational excursions, I ride my bike to work, weather permitting, about 4 times a week. I really look forward to it. It's a great way to start and end my workday. I feel very fortunate to be able to ride mostly on a dedicated bike path. I am so glad to learn about the wonderful programs and events that the Bike Hub is presenting and or partnering with. What a great resource for bicyclists in town. I'm definitely going to sign up for some time in the shop. I love their spirit of community. It warmed my heart to learn about the Ventura Bike Hub and Bike Ventura's staff and volunteers distributing over 20 free bikes to local kids during the holidays. And I'm definitely going to check the website for the next community ride. And since there's so much bike information to relay, I'm continuing with another bike episode. The next episode of Ventura Vibe will feature Joey Juhas-Lukomsky, the executive director from Bike Ventura. You're not going to want to miss that one. Thanks so much for listening to Ventura Vibe, a podcast dedicated to celebrating the community of Ventura, California.